Hello everyone, I'm your host AdrianJWilliams here live from our studios in London on WilliamsTV with the Adrian Show.
Hello everyone, I'm your host
AdrianJWilliams
here
live. And tonight I'm here joined by Dxavus from the 4-Star Party, who is here beside me. So say hello, Dxavus.
Adrian, it's an honor being here. Thank you for having me.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's great to have you on the show. Tonight he'll be telling us about his 4-Star Party, which is currently in the process of being registered and should be with us soon, hopefully. So first off then, tell us a little bit about the background of your party. Why have you set it up to begin with?
Well, that's a very good question. Thank you for asking me. So as people know, I've been in this community for quite a bit. I have been part of the government before. I was a cabinet member under ZC Investor and Benjamin Henley. They were both briefly prime ministers for the people who don't know. And what I noticed is that these prime ministers from the establishment never allow their cabinet members and even their proposed cabinet members to come up with new ideas. It's always the same recycled policies. And that's what our party wishes to change. We wish to implement policies that have never been tried in this community before. We'll get into it in a bit. So that is one of the reasons. And then there's also the awful, horrible government affairs that have happened, the scandals, the corruption. People are tired of it. So that's why our party is in the process of being registered, because the current parties, half of them belong to Michael pretty much, right? They support him and nobody's doing real opposition. So that's what we're here for.
Right, so on the subject of the registration of your party, where is it at the moment in the process? How far away are we from seeing?
Oh, very far.
Oh, very far. Well, can you give us a little bit more explanation on that?
Of course. So I started DMing members, because that's how you start as a party leader. You need 30 members to join the party. And so I started DMing community members. And we gained 20 members, 23, 25, 27, quite quickly, actually. I didn't expect us to gain that many members. But when people see what has been going on, right, the 5,000 Robux missing from the treasury, they're concerned about their community that they've been in for years. And so we are at 27 members right now out of 30. So we need 3 more members. And then if the government doesn't stop our registration or the Electoral Commission, then we'll be all set, right?
Cool. So what sort of timeline are you thinking of? Are you currently sort of sat with a, I don't know, ticket open with the Electoral Commission at the moment?
No, not right now. We'll do it once we reach 30 members, but that shouldn't take a while. That'll be done in no time.
So how many members are we sitting at the moment then for the 4-Star Party then?
27 out of 30. 27 British citizens. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So 20. So just 3 more then, right? So going back to your point about the parties. So you said that you believe some of the other parties are controlled by Michael Rothschild. Obviously, the Greg's party, being his own party, is very obviously his control. The Solidarity Party is obviously in coalition with him, and I've previously talked about this on previous airings of the show, but I've had a previous MP who was suspended for his computer crashing, saying that he believed his party had sort of sold out to the Greg's party as such, and I think that's quite a right statement there from my analysis. And obviously the Unionist Party, well, the Greg's party is basically just a rehash of that, but just as well as. So what about the other 2 parties then, the Social Democrats and the Nationals, and I suppose the Unionists to an extent? I mean, they have, like, there's still people that haven't gone over to the Greg's party. What would you sort of say? Why should people vote for the 4-Star Party over those ones?
Well, look, I guess that they're trying, right? The Social Democrats, they say, and the National Party, they say, oh, but the cabinet minister hasn't answered my questions correctly, which is a fine concern, right? You can point that out. I haven't heard anything about the 5,000 Robux that have been missing from the treasury. The 5,000 Robux that the prime minister allegedly put in his own wallet, in his own Roblox account, and went away and bought game passes, right, from Restaurant Tycoon 2. I haven't heard the parties about that. I guess they don't want to say it because they're afraid that they might ruin a future coalition with the Greg's party, because they know, look, I'll be honest, the Greg's party has all the directors, all of the high people in the businesses, but that's not what the community consists of. They're only a small percentage, those people. We are the party of the people, the 4-star party, the only real party that speaks with no filter, no censorship, right? Adrian, you would agree with me, right? That once the election finishes, the only thing that these parties do is they divide the cabinet posts, right? That's what they do. Oh, but we want the Chancellor of the Exchequer, or no, I want to be Foreign Secretary. That's what these coalition talks are about, and people are tired of it. They get nothing done. They get nothing done.
No, I definitely seem to think that coalitions have definitely been a theme for the past however many governments. I was looking at the National Archives the other day. I was like shocked to see how many coalition governments there'd been, because I was quite interested to see what happened during my sort of brief break from the UK for a few months. And oh wow, I was shocked by how many coalitions there'd been. And obviously, anyone who knows anything about politics obviously knows that a coalition government only just means, you know, well, it's not a good thing, is it? You don't really, ideally you'd have it in majority, but so would your party, on that sort of note of coalitions and things, would your party be willing to enter a coalition if it so had to form government? If it did, who would it be with? Or would you sort of stay true to your roots and no, we don't want coalitions, we want a government that, you know, stands up on its own 2 feet and sort of represents the policies it was elected on?
Well, I'm not a fan of a hung parliament because you can get nothing done, really. Ideally, we'd have a majority to go forward with our reforms. We want to stop the corruption in the Justice Department, in every department in the UK. We want people to be selected on who they are and not who they know. And if any party is willing to help us to achieve that goal, then we're going to work together with them. But I don't see it happening as of now. A lot of parties would have to make concessions. So
I'm assuming the Greg's party is off the table there with coalition partners.
well, yeah, I can pretty much assure that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So on our subject of the Greg's party, what is your thoughts on the like little skirmishes there with Ireland they seem to be having? I mean, I sort of came to the assessment of it on my last airing of the show that it was more of a publicity stunt apart from anything else. Would you agree with that sort of analysis?
You mean the war with Ireland, or?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I guess it brings a little bit of activity. That's good. Activity at the border. We haven't had that in months, so it's good that they're trying that at least, right? I don't really have an opinion on it. We're not fans of Ireland in the 4-star party. I'll be honest with you. Um, we wish to implement an anti-foreign interference committee, actually, because there are so many Irish politicians that are also doing politics in the UK. We don't know whose interests they're representing, the Irish interests or the British interests. So we'll work on that. So that's my answer, Danny.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely agree there that you know there is too much overstep there of Irish politicians, shall we say. I'm not a fan of Irish politicians by any means. I remember sort of getting severely annoyed with them during my time in the armed forces at various, you know, border deployments, and they'd be like the biggest pains up the backside you can possibly imagine. But
I know, right?
yeah, I know. Yeah, there's always the Irish ones in it. But that said, though, I do still think that the whole situation there is well exaggerated. They haven't exactly said why um, they've put the tensions, state of alertness so high, or why they want to make it Western Britain. They haven't really said anything on that. They've just sort of said, "Oh yeah, we're withdrawing from the agreement, and now you're all going to vote for us because we're such a patriotic government and all the rest of it." So I do think it's a bit of exaggeration and publicity stunts there. But oh well. Needless to say, I'm not a fan of Irish politicians. If they wanted to make it very clear as to what's actually gone on there, then fair enough. But I don't think hiding behind the sort of covers, as it were, is necessarily a good way to go about things. But moving on to other government mishandlings.
May I add?
Oh yeah.
May I add something to that? Right, we've seen so many scandals. Right, we've seen justice members pardoning someone just because they're the friends of the prime minister, right? They're friends with the prime minister, and I guess the prime minister is using this conflict with Ireland to kind of steer the attention away from the conflicts. I mean, sorry, from the scandals into the diplomatic conflict. So it's quite smart what Michael is doing, but the people aren't dumb. They can see through this tactic.
Yeah, definitely. So going more on to government scandals and so on. Obviously, I think it's no secret that it's a bit of a boys' club at the top, and it's basically a bunch of mates that have been running the country for the last year, 2 years, however long. I mean, when I sort of was doing Williams Media, my previous company, a year ago, Michael Rothschild was the Prime Minister. I come back a year later and guess he's the Prime Minister, Michael Rothschild, But
Yeah.
that's kind of the state we're in at the moment. But yeah, what's your sort of whole take on the I don't know, the Rothschild control of the UK for the last year or more?
Oh boy, I don't even know where to start. Because look, Michael has been prime minister for like 6 or 7 or 8 terms. Give me a break. And then he's complaining that politics is dying and that people don't care about politics anymore. I don't blame those people. Michael from the Greg's party has been prime minister for 7 whole terms. Give me a break. And then you also have David D. Rothschild, I think is his name.
Yeah.
Right? He's director of a whole lot of companies. I think you can pretty much say that Michael and David have the UK community in their pocket with how much influence they have. And we've seen, I don't think there has been a prime minister that has had more corruption scandals than Michael. 5,000 Robux from the Treasury missing, people pardoned in the Justice Department. And if they so shamelessly do this corruption, who knows where else the corruption could be? Could be in the Metropolitan Police, could be in the ambulance service, them promoting their friends, right? Maybe even in your department, if you're watching this at home. So that's what we really have to investigate, and we have to stop this. So what can I say? Join the 4-star party, and we'll get to it.
Yeah. So on your sort of point there of you'll stop it and you'll get to it. Obviously, outside of this broadcasting, we've had a little bit of chat about some of your ideas there. But for sort of, if you could inform the viewers as to your sort of policies and maybe go into a bit more detail as to how you're actually planning to sort of out corruption and all the likes. How would you go about it?
Absolutely, that's a very good question. So I must warn the watchers, we have policies that have never been tried before in the UK. These are very new, maybe even controversial policies, I guess, because nobody's ever done them before. But I really think that we can make the community better with these policies. So first of all, we have an idea to start a special disciplinary chamber, which will be part of the Justice Department, because we've seen Michael, the Prime Minister, pardon people from crimes just because they're his friends. If it were me to get prosecuted, or even you or the watcher at home, we'd all end up in jail. But not if you're a friend of the Prime Minister. So the special disciplinary chamber will suspend, fine, fire dissenting judges, judges who do not agree, or sorry, justices who pardon friends of the Prime Minister, justice members who engage in this politics of friends, right? Politics of power, influence. People should be tried based on what they did, not who they know. It's pathetic. So that's one of the policies. Then we also wish to implement a policy that makes it mandatory for politicians, members of parliament, to have an in-game job in the UK, because there are so many out-of-touch politicians. I'm sick of it. Many people are sick of it. So make it mandatory for them to have jobs. It's very simple, right? Would you like to hear more of our policies? Or
yeah.
Okay. And then we've also seen a lot of bias from media companies. And again, these media companies are controlled by a very small group of people who own the businesses, people who own everything. We are going to find those people who spread lies, who help the lords, the people who have been in this community for years, the people with the businesses. We're going to find them. We're not just going to let them appear in front of court. We are going to jail them because of bias, because they've upheld a corrupt regime. So that is with the media companies. Let me see. I have a little document here with our plans. The High British Tribunal, which will be investigating the former government members that have, worked with the corruption, that have started the corruption, that have put even Robux from the treasury in their own pockets. That is what the High British Tribunal will investigate. These people will be tried. We're going to prohibit using business contacts for political gain because, again, Greggs has many directors, and these directors use their power in their companies to get their employees to support a government that does not protect their interests. We do wish to limit the influence of the House of Lords, because if a government is elected, they cannot implement certain policies because the House of Lords can basically veto them. After 3 vetoes of the House of Lords of voting certain laws down, that is when it will be forcefully implemented, if I'm not wrong. Now, I have respect for the Lords. I get it. They're community veterans. But there's no reason why a democratically elected government should not be able to force through laws that the people voted for. So we're going to limit the influence of the House of Lords. And if that doesn't work, I guess we'll have to abolish it, right?
I mean, I think there's definitely room for a second House of Parliament. I mean, I think that's sort of how it's accurate to the realistic system. But I do agree that I mean, they have to be restricted to some extent there, as you pointed out. And if things aren't passing through, then well, that can only lead to more issues, especially if it's how should we say, people from a certain I don't really want to say demographic, but I think you know what I mean here. People who have certain alliances within political parties named after fast food chains, if you see what I mean there. But I mean, that's the other thing as well. You mentioned people within the government using their contacts in businesses to sort of push their support from the employees of said companies. I mean, the Greggs Party is quite literally named after a pastries company, a perfect example there. It is sort of bleeding obvious in some ways, but I definitely agree with you. That's a sort of big issue I've sort of observed within the political sphere that's been growing for the past 3 years, maybe. I don't know. I want to say something like that, but definitely more so, more recently anyway. But yeah. Anyway, continue with your policies. It's very interesting to hear
that. Sure. Let me see. This is very interesting. So we have, I think, the PACE Act that makes it possible for metropolitan police officers to search individuals, right? We wish to expand that. Now, this is, again, this has never been done before, but we see that people with certain, well, I don't know how to say it, certain drill rappers, right, in Westbridge, I've come across them. Many people have come across them. They always have a machete with them. They ruin the experience for others. And I'm not saying you cannot do crimes. Crimes is fine. It brings activity. But these drill rappers in Westbridge, they always have a machete. I would make it so that police officers can search people based on who they are and their reputation. So, for example, drill rappers, if I'm elected, these people would be able to be searched instantly, no suspicion, or I mean, of course, there's suspicion, but no event, right? These people can just be searched at any time, and that would make it so the business people, the departments can have a little bit more of a server without bullshit crime, right? Without just getting stabbed and having to wait to be revived, stuff like that. You get it, right, Adrian?
Yeah. I mean, we've just seen some of that at the Westbridge Expo, which leads me on to my next point. I was going to mention a bit later, but seeing as the conversation sort of heading this way, then I might as well bring it up now. Obviously, I was just attending the Westbridge Business Expo. I don't know if it's still going on or not, but you know, I was there a few moments ago, just shortly before starting the interview, and the biggest problem with that was the disruption from crime. I mean, it was to give some credit to the government where it is due. It was very well organised. The execution, I mean, it started a tiny bit late, letting people in. Okay, fine, but, you know, going along with it. And it's all going fine up until they sort of start leading people on for the speeches, like, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes late. And so we're all sat there, and then boom, all these bombs go off, and just people, I think we all got killed about 3 times successively. And I think that's ultimately a failing there to sort of try and, I mean, there was a lot of police security and so on, but I think the decision should have been made with the group staff just to sort of restrict weapons there. But ultimately, it resulted in quite a shambolic event for the first half. Quite a lot of sort of disarray. Started quite late. Once they'd sort of got it back on track again after sort of about 3 empty ChatGPT meaningless speeches, and 1 or 2 good ones in there as well, particularly from Dean Heathcote and the Duke of Edinburgh. The rest were pretty much about as I don't know, meaningless. I'm trying to think of something that's meaningless, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But anyway, some 3 like ChatGPT robot speeches there. Anyway, after all that had sort of kicked off, it started really well. 50 minutes after it was meant to start. So, you know, aside from that, it was pretty good. But you know, definitely some poor failings in the execution and oversight of security there. And obviously, I mean, weapons use has frequently does disrupt community events. I mean, I can't really blame this government as much because I'm going more off of historical experiences here, having, you know, obviously been a instructor within the British Armed Forces and therefore holding recruitment stands and the likes within Westbridge, and you know, people just getting a machete and chopping everyone to bits is a frequent threat that the people of Westbridge live under, and does disrupt a lot of events, which is very frustrating for anyone sort of trying to engage with it. But yeah, I think it's a very valid point you've got there to sort of try and prevent that sort of thing before it happens, definitely.
Yeah, it isn't, look, it isn't the people with suits, or very rarely it is, but the majority of the time, it is not the people in suits committing the crimes. It is always those, well, I'll call them the usual suspects. We all know what they look like, how they dress, but they don't dress in suits. We'll make it so the police can search them at any time, any place, whenever, always, for a safer Westbridge where the event, for example, the business exhibition, this could have been fully prevented. There was little to no security clearance. They didn't even search people. It was just awful. I guess there's one thing that was good about it, which was the activity. There were a lot of people. So I'll be honest, my compliments to the Prime Minister for getting that many people on. But apart from that, it was very poorly organized.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. And I mean, it was. I think it was well organized. I just think the security oversights were completely overlooked, and the execution in particular was absolutely shambolic for the most part. Except for after they sort of got re-railed things, it seemed to be going okay. After I left, I have no idea what happened. Some nutter probably blew everyone up again, but. Anyway, yeah, there's definitely a lot of security failings there anyway, and I'm sure you can see that too, and probably something I'm assuming you wouldn't let happen under your watch.
Well, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We advocate for more powers to the police, right? I guess Greggs doesn't want to do that because they're afraid of being called fascist. They're afraid of being called names like that. We're not afraid of getting called anything. We truly do what we believe is best, right?
Yeah. Another thing there as well, do you think, I mean, not necessarily with the terms of fascist and all the rest of it, but do you think there's also an element of not wanting to be seen as, ruining the fun or whatever? And do you think that sort of unseriousness has sort of crept in a bit too much to politics, especially with the Greggs party?
Well, yeah, I would agree with that. And look, they have been in power for so many terms, right? If you even look at the Greggs party Discord server invite, you can see they call themselves anti-corruption. I'm going to be very clear here. There has not been a man in this community that has had more corruption scandals than Michael, the leader of the Greggs party. They joke around so much that they call themselves the names that they are, or well, let me phrase it differently. They say that they are against the things that they do. You see that too, right, Adrian?
Yeah, absolutely.
You must see it. They literally call themselves anti. And look, they do that because they know that they're going to be in government next term again. They have a lot of support. Michael knows that he's going to be the prime minister next term again, and none of the parties are doing anything about it. I haven't seen a single party that is saying, where did the money go? 5,000 was supposed to go to in-game development, 5,000 Robux, 0 went to in-game development. The people want to know, where did that money go? None of the parties are mentioning this. It's sickening. I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they even got a share of the Robux to keep quiet. I don't know. I didn't get a share. Even if I did get a share, which I would never accept, I will address this. And I don't know why they don't say it. Maybe it's because what you already said, that they're unserious, they see it as a joke. I've been in this community when I first joined in 2017. I don't think it's a joke that somebody at the top, nearly at the top of the community, is lying and allegedly stealing Robux that belongs to the community. I don't think that's a joke. I don't think it's a joke that the community that I've been in for years is pardoning members from charges, from crimes, simply because they're the friend of the prime minister. That's ruining a community. That's not strengthening it. That's not doing anything remotely close to strengthening it. So, but I guess, look, I love jokes. I love joking around once in a while. You do too, Adrian.
Oh, absolutely.
We love joking.
Who doesn't?
Exactly, but we're also serious when it comes to serious things. And
Exactly.
I don't
There's
think
very much
open corruption.
there's very much a time and a place, I think, and I think the Greg's Party is an example where they do it in neither the time nor the place. I mean, well, there's a time and a place. Yeah, I think you'd be a boring robot if you didn't have a laugh, but um, when stuff needs doing, and you can't be having backbencher MPs gobbing off in Parliament, or 5,000 robots disappearing.
Exactly. And I haven't heard a question to the Prime Minister. I haven't heard anything. They're just goofing around. If we are in government, if you elect the four-star party, we will find those 5,000 Robux. We will see where that money has gone to. We will hold those people accountable, not in front of a committee, but in court, in front of a judge, a truly impartial judge. And those people will be jailed. But we need your support first.
So on the subject of I've got 2 points I could go down, and I think I'll leave the other one until a bit later. But on the subject of the 5,000 Robux, the official government explanation is that due to sort of delays with development and some other delays that it doesn't really say what they are, but it just says delays. That it's been postponed and sort of carries over to next month's budget. But what do you think of that explanation from the government?
I don't believe a single thing. It's not about whether the money has been used by the development team, right? It's about whether it has been transferred to the development team. And this is something that happened in October. They could have said, well, they're busy right now, we cannot transfer the money. The money hasn't even been transferred, right? We don't know where the money is. It just disappeared out of thin air. I don't know. I haven't been in government as much as Michael. I don't know the distribution process of the Robux, because for people hearing this, not understanding it, the government has 10,000 Robux a month that they can use on anything they want. And 5,000 of those has not been used for what they promised it would be used for. So, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I really do not know what to tell you, but we'll get to the bottom of it. We will actually investigate where they went. None of the parties care. I don't know why they don't care, but we care. So, what can I say? It's a big shame. I never in my time in this community have I ever seen anything like this. Seriously. It's very, I don't know.
On the subject of budgets, then, I suppose the elephant in the room is obviously the budget that they couldn't even get passed by the Commons. And also, whilst I'm on the subject of budgets, the absolutely zero allocation of funds towards Northern Ireland at all whatsoever. So, what are your opinions on those two things there?
If a government cannot even get enough support in the House of Commons to pass their ideas, there is no reason why they should stay in government. The only reason why they would stay in government is because they have a nice title, they have a nice office, they can say, I'm the prime minister in a Lego community. That's the only reason why they would be in government. These people should resign. If they cannot even pass a budget, well, that says more than enough in itself. And then Northern Ireland, heavily neglected, given to Ireland, pretty much. Shameful, absolutely shameful.
On the subject of Northern Ireland as well, a lot of people seem to think that, well, I don't know, I don't really know about a lot of people, but I've definitely seen the argument before, and I think it's a pretty fair argument that Northern Ireland is something that's sort of been neglected and is sort of treated as like a war zone as such, and the only time there's ever any sort of activity is in a, sort of battle zone sort of environment, as we're seeing at the moment. I mean, the activity is being sort of pushed by the tensions there, but do you think there's room for a peaceful Northern Ireland at all? Do you think a government should focus on developing business there and actually offering things to do in Northern Ireland that isn't just blowing up soldiers?
Well, it's funny that you say that. Look, war in Northern Ireland, I guess it's fun, right? People enjoy it. Our military enjoys it. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's also nothing wrong with peace. Any sort of activity in Northern Ireland is good if that can be um, advocated for, if that can be achieved. That's a beautiful thing. But if not, I don't think there's anything wrong with also having war or, I guess, border tensions as an excuse to bring activity to the region. So I guess that would be the only thing where the Prime Minister, Michael, and I agree with. But then again, he's only doing it to distract the community from the things that are really going on behind the screens. Friends getting positions, friends getting being acquitted of crimes, Robux disappearing out of nowhere from the community funds. And it's easy to say, well, look at Northern Ireland. Nothing's going on here. Just look at the war. Many people believe that. I mean, look at you've seen the recent polls. Greg still has a lot of support, but I am confident that that will change because people are waking up. People are waking up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you first look at the war, you think, oh, great, they're fighting for British interest and stopping these annoying Irish politicians who everyone hates that are, about as left wing as Stalin. But when you sort of look into it a bit more, it's like, oh, hang on a minute, this is just a bit of a exaggerated publicity. So I mean, I do agree with you that war in Ireland is very, it's good for activity and it's very fun. And as someone that has been in the armed forces, that's in fact during the Northern Ireland War of 2022, that was an amazing time to happen to be in the household cavalry. I can assure you that getting to invade Ireland and blow them to bits is absolutely brilliant. But I do think that, I mean, I don't know, a part of me does sort of begin to wonder if they've sort of intentionally neglected Northern Ireland to then sort of be like, oh yeah, well, we can justify this as the only way to increase activity. And then it's like, well, hang on a minute, you haven't actually tried to put any funds into it to sort of sustain activity, because the problem is with wars and so on is it lasts for about sort of 3-4 weeks at best, and then it sort of dives again. Whereas if you have like a long term solution, I mean, there's still room for deployments and so on. There will always be tensions at the border and violence at the border. That's just the nature of how Middletown is. But there'll always be room for a security presence there. There always has been. But it's whether you want to sort of invest in it as well, and then have both routes and both options of activity, and sort of have a long-term plan in place there, rather than just like 3 weeks of mass activity and then everyone gets bored and goes off and does something else. Do you think that's a sort of fair assessment, and do you think that's something the Four Star Party would want to support, would be more sort of investment in Northern Ireland?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen something very interesting going on recently, actually. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. I investigated this quite a bit, but Greg's or another establishment party promised funds, Robux funds, community funds, to go into Northern Ireland. And those funds never reached Northern Ireland. And we don't know where those funds went either. So there's so much suspicious activity going on. And then they wonder why Northern Ireland is dead, why it's only active when there's a war. Well, maybe stop stealing money from the treasury. It's that simple. It's that simple, right? Where is that money? Where's the money? Nobody knows. Where are the 5,000 Robux? Where are the Robux that were promised to Northern Ireland? Nobody knows. I'm willing to bet that they are in Michael's pocket, and we will expose that corruption. We will expose all of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's this. I mean, well, come on, it's Michael Rothschild after all. Where else is it going to be? I mean, it's it's in the name.
It's been Prime Minister
Rothschild, really,
7 times.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, there we go. But yeah, so anyway, the other point I was going to mention like a long time ago, and then sort of subsequently forgot about it, but might as well whilst I remember it, sort of put it in there whilst I'm on track. But going back to sort of unseriousness, I remember sort of a while ago seeing some pictures of some backbencher Greg's MPs, and oh my God, it's absolutely shocking. The behaviour and the discipline and the sort of parliamentary etiquette, as it were, of the Greg's party seems to be non-existent. I mean, do you think that um, the MPs should be, somewhat at least trying to be professional within Parliament rather than just, yapping about random crap when points are trying to be made and sessions are trying to be, conducted seriously?
I mean, yeah, like I said, when it's time to joke, people can joke around. There's no issue in that. I would even encourage it. I'm a big joker myself. I love jokes, but there comes a difference, a turning point when the the topics start becoming more serious. I mean, we've discussed this like 10 minutes ago as well, right? The missing Robux. Look, I've seen the Prime Minister joke about it. I've seen Greg's members of parliament joke about it. I don't think it's a joking matter. The opposition parties aren't asking where that money went. Um, those people who joke about it should be disciplined. This is the community that we've been in for years. Many people have been in for years. Why should we joke around about Robux that belong to all of us? I've never understood that. And yeah, of course, the Greg's party is literally a joke party. Just look at the name. Look at the name, Greg's party. I guess why you would vote for it is because you get free sausage rolls. Nothing against that. I love my sausage rolls, but I don't want to pay 5,000 Robux that go into the Prime Minister's wallet in exchange for a sausage roll. So I think that's where the turning point is, right? Would you agree?
Yeah, no, definitely. So I'm just trying to find the um, pictures there within the I believe it was the National Party that exposed it, but of some of the quality of the MPs representing the Greg's Party, I can't seem to find it annoyingly, but it was pretty naff behaviour anyway, from the MPs in question. But yeah, I don't know. That seems to have been taken down from what I can gather, which is annoying because I was going to make a point about that. But oh well.
Well, actually, good that you mention it. I've had a Greg's member of parliament. I'm going to keep his name confidential. I'm not going to leak his name because I don't want him to get into trouble. But I have had him complain to me actually about the state of parliament, the state of Greg's, the pressure that's on him, the censorship. So yeah, I just wish to tell you that Greg's members of parliament have come to me personally about their issues.
Well, it's pretty dire when you're having to come towards issues of a rising rival parties about how absolutely diabolical the state of your party is. That's when the government's in a bad spot, definitely. But
Absolutely.
very interesting to hear that at any rate, anyhow. But yeah, I think it's quite clear that the Greg's government is for the streets, quite frankly, as far as things are going.
For the streets. Did you just say that?
Yeah, it's for the streets, bro. It's for the streets.
Okay.
It's
Well, not only the party, but also the people. They sell themselves out like an OnlyFans model,
hey,
like it's nothing.
We know what Kota and Michael are getting up to in the office in number 10.
Oh, Kota! It's good that you mention him, Kota. I wished to address this. Do you know? I'm pretty sure he's the deputy prime minister, isn't he, Kota?
He is, yeah, that's correct.
Okay, do you know what Kota said in political discussion about me, about a 4-star party? And he's the deputy prime minister.
Where he said, "Oh yeah, that's not getting registered, buddy. That's not happening." I think
a leading member of government who passes laws is telling the people that they are not going to allow registration of a new party. He literally said 4-star party is not getting registered or is not getting founded, something along those lines. That's unprecedented. How can you say something like that? Politics is dying, and then you are just saying we're not going to allow a party that challenges us. It's ridiculous. Adrian, like I've never seen this. In my time in this community, I've never seen this. I know that it's very dangerous to say to point out what a deputy prime minister is saying. You'll probably never see me as a director for that reason, because I've challenged the establishment. But it's what I do. Honestly, I do not give a 4-star, right? 4 stars. I'm not gonna say the F word, but I do not give. I'm just saying what I'm thinking. And Kota, that was unacceptable, and we're gonna investigate you. So yeah, get ready for that.
Yeah, no, that is a statement I recall seeing. I just happened to open political discussion by chance. I didn't say anything, but that was the first message I see. I'm like, right, okay. I was going to mention that earlier, actually. I just completely forgot about it until you mentioned it. But wow, that is truly shocking seeing our Deputy Prime Minister, by the way, folks, leader of the Solidarity Party, completely undermining democracy there. I mean, I think any attempt by any government to block a party from being registered is absolutely ludicrous and undermines the democracy that this country is supposedly founded on. But seems to be sort of going out the window with Michael and Kota now and that lot, because as I was sort of explaining earlier, I'm sure that Michael has a wonderful time in his office with Kota. Obviously, Kota on the receiving or the well, I suppose it depends which way we're looking at it. But if it's, I'm sure Kota loves his Greg sausage rolls. I'll put it that way.
Oh god. Okay.
But yeah, that
That's
does seem to be what's going on. That is basically the political situation of the UK summed up in one sentence there. But I've got the point I was trying to make now. I've got images in my head I'd like to unsee, but
yeah, we have corruption, gay government affairs. Like, what else? Like, give me a break. Come on.
Yeah, indeed. Oh Christ, that's an image I want to unsee. But oh, I'm lost for words now. I forgot what I was going to bloody say.
Oh, I get it. I think that watchers at home are also quite
I'm
shocked
sure they are.
after this revelation.
Oh, I'm sure they are. WilliamsTV doing God's work here, right? Exposing what's really going on. But gosh, we have to make
somebody has to do the
investigative journalism. Hey, we're gonna have to make it an adult show on the next episode. We'll bring them on. Yeah. I'm sure I can make a lot of money off of that. Mind you,
I'm sure.
Yeah. No, in the UK, I'm sure there's a lot of demand. Some of the figures I've met over my time here, shall we say, I'm sure there's a lot of demand for homosexual activities broadcasted live on television. But anyway, the point I was going to make was, oh god, it's completely gone out of my head now. Mind you, I probably shouldn't say.
I think we were. What were we talking about? We were talking about Michael,
Kota,
probably, and
Michael and
Kota. Yeah,
Kota.
exactly.
Yeah, something to do with that. Oh yeah, undermining democracy. Yes, there we go, folks. The blocking of your party being registered. That was what I was talking about. Obviously, that is a very real possibility. Now, in my view, I don't think anyone other than the Electoral Commission should have that power. I mean, there are obviously former allies of the sort of types in there within the Electoral Commission. I mean, TBU. I mean, I don't know where his loyalties are. I'm sure he's a very impartial person. He seems to be doing pretty well from what I've sort of seen. I don't know. I've been away from the UK for a while, but from my remembrance of him as a prime minister, he was always a pretty respectable individual.
You mean TBU?
Yeah. I mean, I know he's got his alliances within the Unionist Party, obviously having served as the Prime Minister and many of his sort of allies of the time are now leaders of the Greg's party, but obviously he's now sort of, I believe, in charge of the Electoral Commission. So yeah, there's obviously some potential influence there. What do you think of that?
Well, I'll be very honest with you. I don't want to say I'm scared, but I'm concerned. Well, I really am scared that they're going to oppose our registration. I don't know whether it's from the government or from the Electoral Commission, but when a deputy prime minister says 4-star is not getting founded, I think I don't know, he sees what's coming, he doesn't want it to be coming, and he's gonna probably try to get a law saying no more parties are allowed to register, which would be an absolute shame because we have great graphics. And now, I think your question was about the Electoral Commission, right?
Yeah, with TBU
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah, okay. When it comes to the Electoral Commission and TBU, I have spoken to him actually in political discussion. I said that I'm concerned about his conflict of interest because he has been prime minister. Actually, he did fire me as a member of parliament when he was prime minister because I was suspected of supporting a vote of no confidence against him. Even though I didn't support that, I was gonna abstain because I understand the criticism. Now he removed me. Now he's an electoral commissioner. There is no way for me to predict whether he's gonna stop our party registration, but it would be a shame. But he promised me that he would be impartial, so I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see about that.
Okay, very interesting. So obviously, I mean, hopefully it doesn't happen for the sake of democracy, but say your party registration is blocked, what would what would your plan of action be then, really?
Well, it depends on the reason. If they say that our party is extremist, which is absolute bullshit, we're not extremists, we're not even fascists. But if they say that, then we'll simply rebrand the party. We'll choose a different name. That's one solution. But if they completely block it, there's no way to do anything about that. I mean, I could join another party like I've done in the past, but again, the leaders, they don't allow me to change anything. And if I were to become leader of a party, there's always the establishment, there's always the deep state that forces you to implement their ideas. As unionist, I was unionist leader. I tried to implement policies that have never been tried before. For example, the committee that investigates corrupt justice members. I wasn't allowed to do it. The deep state said that they would force me out as a leader if I implemented those policies, actually. So that is basically the current Greg's party, which were unionists at that time, and TBU. I got threatened with dismissal, and after that, I just laid my position down because I had to, otherwise they would have forced me out as leader. So the Forza party is the only solution. It's really my last hope. And if we're able to succeed, that will be beautiful. If we're not able to succeed, well, Michael, and you've won, but you haven't heard The Last of Us.
So on that, you know, note there, I suppose. I mean, obviously, you're saying you've been a leader of the UDS before, but were sort of posted out by the deep state. Is that potentially a risk you could have as leader of the 4-star party, or because it's obviously your new party that you're founding, will you have more of a sort of secure element there of being a sort of leader in control of things? Like, do you think it'll be more stable, if that makes sense?
Look, I've got a phenomenal team of people who support me unconditionally. They're the greatest team I could ask. We have Osex, we have Asano Sakana, actually. He was also a unionist member. Don't know if you know him, probably not. Safirini, who was a national first secretary of state.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with
Uh,
her. Yeah, I don't
yeah,
know her
great
personally, but
people.
I just know the name. Yeah.
They support me unconditionally. They're not gonna try anything. Back when I was unionist leader, you had Michael, you had Marcus. The old unionist leader would try to get the unionists to merge with Greg's. You had, who else did you have? You had TBU. You had David, the Rothschild. So they're all Rothschild, all establishment people, and they controlled me. But I didn't want any of it. I was sick and tired of it. So I'm very confident that they cannot do the same with 4-star. I'm going to make sure that this is our party and not their party, not the party of the directors, not the party of the establishment. And that's something I wholeheartedly pledge.
Yeah, so obviously you talked a little about your team there. This is a point I was going to mention but subsequently forgot to. But thanks for reminding me anyway. So your team, obviously, prior to this interview, I had no knowledge of who else was sort of with you on the party. But who else have you got? I mean, obviously you mentioned a few individuals there, but is there also are you sort of looking for additional help as such, or will there be opportunities for people to, I don't know, whether they want to be an MP or I don't know, maybe you need proposed cabinet members or parliamentary staff. Is there a sort of need for recruitment, or have you got a team already that you're pretty happy with?
We are absolutely always looking for proposed parliamentary candidates, but when it comes to cabinet members, I guess it'll be a little bit more complicated because obviously you do need some experience, not a lot, but some experience. Um, but if anybody wishes to join our parliamentary candidates team, then they can message me on Discord as always. So yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, okay, cool. That was a question I was quite interested in, but yeah, so it's definitely there's definitely a sort of growing team there of people behind you then.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Great people.
Cool, cool. So then are we likely to see the Four-Star Party on the ballot box for the next election?
Well, obviously, I do not have the Electoral Commission in my pocket. I cannot decide what they will do. But if the government doesn't oppose us and if the Electoral Commission is truly impartial, then you will see the Four-Star Party on the ballot next election, which I truly do hope so, because we're the only ones.
Yeah,
God help
absolutely.
us.
I mean, for anyone that believes in democracy, regardless of who you're voting for, I'm sure it's welcoming to see another party. But on the other subjects of having parties, do you think that there is a danger of almost splitting, or if you have a lot of parties, it gives people a lot of options. So it's almost with the system that the UK uses, because obviously having it as it is in real life with first past the post, the more parties you have, the more split Parliament will be. That is just inevitable. There's a lot of options for people to choose from. And that is likely the cause we've seen in the growing number of coalition governments. So, do you think that by starting yet another party, that sort of increases the risk of having yet another coalition government as such?
Absolutely not. Do you know why? We have, let's say, how many parties? Let me count. 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 parties, one of which, the Unionist Party, is basically Greg's 2.0. They're not gonna be there next election, very likely, because the old leader said he wishes to merge the Unionists into Greg's. So then we will simply take on the position of the Unionist Party, do the opposition that they very unsuccessfully couldn't do because their party was led by establishment figures. So I say get rid of the unionists and replace it with a real opposition alternative, the Four-Star Party, and then nothing will be changed. There will still be 5 parties like now, and everything will be fine.
Mm. Okay, definitely interesting to hear your take on that. That wasn't, but say for whatever reason, the four-star party is unable to register, or I don't know, maybe you're having to look for a potential coalition partner, or for whatever, or maybe you just don't get registered in time for the next election. Which party after that would likely have your backing given the current way things are, or would you not simply not back any out of protest?
Hold on. Can you repeat that question one more time?
Okay, so hypothetically, if your four-star party is not registered, maybe it's blocked by the electoral commission, or it just doesn't get registered in time for
Oh,
the next
right.
election, or maybe you need a coalition partner. Which sort of other party would have your support?
Right, right. Which party would have our support in case we do have to coalition?
Yeah, or you just don't get registered. Like, who would you encourage people to vote for instead, or maybe no one? I just want to hear your answer to that.
Well, look, if we are unable to get registered, there's no party that can stop the corruption. There's no party that can stop the Robux going missing from the departments. I don't want to encourage people to lose hope, but if we are unable to register, you're just going to see the same politics, people saying, "Oh, okay, you can be prime minister, I'll be leader of the house." It's always this cabinet construction of who gets what title, and then they forget about all the plans. It's worthless. So if we are unable to register, then that would be catastrophic for Britain. But I'm very hopeful. I'm very confident. I don't even want to answer that question, to be very honest with you. Who would replace us? Because we are not replaceable. Absolutely not. So let's just hope for the best. Really, let's hope for the best, Adrian. I don't want to be pessimistic. I don't want to be pessimistic.
No, me neither. And hopefully, of course, it does get registered for the sake of democracy, as I said. But with that, anyway, we've been running for about an hour now, so I think I will sort of begin to wrap things up as such. So before I do that, is there anything else you'd like to add on before I conclude the broadcast?
Well, I just hope that people actually look into our policies and not just vote for Greg's because they will have a higher chance of a promotion because they support the establishment figures that have been in power for years. And even if you do not agree with our party, go and vote. Let your voice be heard. It's a community that has stood strong for many years, and we need everybody to let their voice be heard to get it to stand strong because this is ultimately the course of the community. So, what can I say? Thank you for having me, Adrian. I have nothing else to add.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Dxavus, it's been great to have you on the Adrian show tonight. Very interesting to hear more about your party and your sort of take on things, and your views on the establishment as such. I'm sure we agree on many things as we've discovered, and hopefully it's good to get the message out to all of the viewers. So yes, thank you for coming on. Obviously, just before I end things, a quick message to the viewers. Make sure to join me next Sunday at 5 o'clock for an interview with the Foreign Secretary to hear things from the government side of the story. So I'm sure there'll be quite a grilling there, but also just hear some of the things that they've been up to as well. So make sure to tune in for my interview with the Foreign Secretary at 5 o'clock here on the Adrian Show on Sunday. We may also be having an interview with Dean Heathcote as well at some point this week, to be confirmed and details to be confirmed. But I've spoken to him earlier at the Business Expo, and it looks like he is likely to be coming on to the show, which would be great. As obviously I previously last interviewed him about a year ago, so it'd be good to sort of see how things are going with him and the likes. And also make sure to potentially tune as well, as it may look like that WilliamsTV could be providing coverage of the Jubilee next Sunday as well at 8 p.m. So hopefully you'll be able to tune in for that as well. So yeah, quite a lot coming up on Williams TV going forwards. Obviously, anyone that is interested in appearing for an interview, please do get in contact with myself, and I'm sure we can make some sort of arrangements. But with that, thank you all for tuning in. I've been Adrian, joined here by the wonderful Dxavus from the 4-Star Party. So big thank you to him for coming onto the show tonight, and thank you to all of you for watching tonight's broadcast. Have a lovely evening.